other side, on this side of Gratiot, it's Roseville on the north side, all of it. On that side, so it's Eastpointe.
I worked on that.
Oh, did you? My mom said when she was younger, they used to go play in the express when they were building it.
That was shorter than they have their means.
Right.
Hello, everyone. We will call the City Council regular meeting to order. It's Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, 7 p.m. Would everyone please rise for the invocation given by Dan Zander, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for this time. We pray for all the council meetings.
Eastpointe Proclamation, Black History Month, February 4th, 2025. Whereas the city of Eastpointe recognizes the significance of Black History Month in our community, our state, and our nation. And whereas the city of Eastpointe recognizes the month of February as Black History Month, which dates back to 1925, when Dr. Carter G. Woodson set aside a special period of time in February to recognize the heritage and the achievements of Black Americans. Whereas the city of Eastpointe believes in representation and appreciation the importance of local leaders of African American descent have in our community. And whereas the city of Eastpointe recognizes our moral responsibility and duty to work to achieve a more perfect union. Whereas the city of Eastpointe encourages its employees, residents, and business owners to practice achieve behavior. And whereas the city of Eastpointe denounces all discrimination in any form as an affront to our eligible rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the city of Eastpointe condemns racism in all forms in our neighborhoods, in our policymaking, and in our policing. And whereas the city of Eastpointe recognizes the work already done by employees, residents, and business owners to achieve racial equality in our community. And whereas the city of Eastpointe affirms that Black history is American history, and we recognize February not to limit the learning of Black history to 1 month, but to encourage reflection of all citizens so that we may preserve, strengthen, and further of our shared fundamental principles of equality. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of this City Council declare the month of February 2025 as Black History Month in the city of Eastpointe and encourage residents to recognize the contributions and experience of people of African American descent within our community. Proclaimed on this day, February 4th, 2025. Amen.
Thank you very much. All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Curley,
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Here.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Here.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Here.
All right, moving on to approval of the agenda. I would ask, I would like to remove the item J, 38 District Court Magistrate Pay Increase Request for a couple of reasons. I wanted to get more information on that. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve without item J.
Support.
Okay. Did anyone want to make any comments on that? Please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
All right, moving on to hearing of the public. The first hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Hello, Sarah Lucido, Eastpointe resident. I'm here today for a few reasons. First of all, I'd like to wish Councilman Baker a happy belated birthday and Councilman Curley a happy early birthday. But really the reason why I came today was I would like to take a moment to recognize City Manager Walton. She has been a true asset to the city of Eastpointe, and I'm unable to make the next two meetings, so I wanted to make sure I came up here and just to recognize her. And of all the city managers I worked with or I've seen in the city, no one has loved Eastpointe like Miss Walton. She has really put her heart and soul, and I've seen her grow and learn and become like this absolutely amazing city manager over the years. And I'm just so happy that we've had that relationship and that I've been able to work with you, and I've learned so much from you, and I hope that you learned from me. And I feel like we've always had that great working relationship, and I really do wish you the best of luck in the future with everything that you do. And if you ever need anything, feel free to call me, and I'll do my best to help you out. Even if you're in a different county, I might know a few people, so. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would just say amen to that.
Good evening, Council. Mary Howell Rayford, Eastpointe residents. Believe it or not, I don't have anything to say on my own behalf or against anybody, but I did have a resident who contacted me, wanted me to bring to your attention some things that concerns him. That would be Michael Jamie Lewis. He's concerned about the fact that there are no lights on his street, and I'm trying to find this out from on Brittany and Tuscany in that area. He wonders why the police station, new police station and court offices could be moved somewhere else where there's a park. He also wants to know about where if we could put windmills or solar panels there. There's a lot here. Then he also wanted to ask about the water tank at Kennedy and what could be done with that, or are there any plans for that? He's really concerned that there's not a lot of activities that used to be. He'd like to see some of them brought back. Of course, I can't address that. I wasn't here. But I did tell him that I would bring them to your concern. One of the things I'd like to do whenever possible is to bring to your attention, as I have with the school board, concerns that residents have. And I've had to explain that before. I don't always speak on my behalf. I address or try to address the things that people have addressed to me. And hopefully, if he's watching tonight, he'll hear a response to you from that. I don't know the answers, not going to try to explain it, but hopefully somebody will. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Karen Morajan, Eastpointe resident. Just real quick on the proclamation, I would say Black History Month should be every month and not just for February. That said, I'm here to talk about some pending bills in the Michigan legislature. So there is Senate Bill 28 that is just absolute rubbish. It would appeal the cage-free law. It was introduced January 29th of this year, and then it was introduced today, and it was referred to the Regulatory Affairs. The Michigan cage-free law passed back in 2009. I was a part of educating residents throughout the state of Michigan why this is necessary. Because prior to the cage-free law, chickens The space they had to move, the size of this piece of paper I hold in my hand, okay? With the law, now it mandates that chickens are able to roam free and exhibit their natural behaviors. This was supposed to go into effect in 2019. They had 10 years to phase out all these battery cages. They sat around, they didn't do anything, and then at the last minute, yep, they cried foul. Yes, pun intended. So then it was extended to 2024. So now Thies is coming up with this article and saying, well, you know, we need to repeal it to provide relief to the farmers and consumers about the high cost of eggs. No, this bill has nothing to do with it. I extracted information from Michigan.gov under the cage-free egg law, and they state the law was not enacted due to HPA1, avian flu, and commercial flocks. This law was passed in 2009, delayed until 2019, and the first detection of HPA1 in the nation in Michigan was in 2022. The response to the virus and creation and enactment of this law are not
You have 30
related.
seconds.
So real quick, get your cats, dogs inside because the avian bird flu is also being contracted by cats and dogs, also cows that come into contact with sick and diseased or dead birds. Last of all, HB 4012, it's for canine police dogs, whether they're retired or active duty, to provide ambulatory care. I know I'm out of time. I'll
Thank you.
have to address it at the next meeting, but I have to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Starting to walk like Harvey. Where's your keg?
Up against the wall. I was going to leave it in the car, and my wife said, oh, no. Good evening, council members, mayor, visitors. I'm Mike Lameau. I live at 16084 Lincoln, Eastpointe. I see there's an item here for review final construction plans for 9 Mile Road Phase 2. I thought that contract was let. If you're going to make some changes, I hope they're not drastic, and you're going to have to get approval from the federal government, and that's a lot of work to do that. I'm hoping if you're making changes, it's to the parking, leaving it alone, but I can't get my way on that. The garbage service is improving. The birthday boys, I sang happy birthday to one, and the other one, I don't know, he might go after me. I've known Harvey, I've been here 50-some years, and Harvey ran the softball program and everything like that. He and Pat Mann did a lot of stuff. We ought to make a statue of you somewhere. Like that guy on TV out of wax. And
Yeah.
you got it carded.
When it get too hot, it'll melt.
But other than that, I'm just wondering when you're going to let Phase 3. I hope it's been approved and ready to go. And I see a lot of X's on trees on Gratiot. Wow. You guys can get in the firewood business. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. I'm glad he brought up 9 Mile Road, Phase 3. I went back and I looked at the traffic studies that were done back in July of 2021, which was for all of 9 Mile Road, just to compare them to the ones that we got back in September of 2024. And both of them agree that there's no meaningful improvement in level of service for arterial speed or at the intersections, but both of them do agree that there's a significant increase in queuing. Now, the traffic studies, from what I understand from Mr. Kern, only looks at the signalized intersections. So for Phase 3, it's only looking at 9 in Schroeder and 9 in Kelly, and only at the AM and PM peak hours. The study doesn't provide any data or counts for side street intersections, driveways, or drive-throughs. So you can't really see, like they talk about how Popeyes backs up onto 9 Mile Road. That's not really counted in any of these traffic studies because it's not at a signalized intersection. And you also wouldn't see someone going from like Roxana to Wendy's drive-through to get something because it's in between two of the intersections where the counts are taken. So we really don't have data on volumes and queuing for those areas. In 2021, the traffic study from AEW pointed out additional considerations that aren't measured. Again, the number of driveways and intersections that are located between signalized intersections, significant number of bus stops. They mentioned several fast food businesses with drive-through service. I think we had counted there's 8 of those in Phase 3. They observed that drive-through queues extend into the right lane under the 5-lane conditions. With the road diet, this would result in lane blockages for through traffic because there is no extra lane. They also considered that vehicular traffic may filter into residential neighborhoods, and usually they find that traffic that diverts into the neighborhood tend to have higher speeds than traffic that with residential destinations. Like if you're going home to your street, you drive slower than if you're cutting through a side street because traffic is too bad on 9 Mile. They noted that the police and fire utilize their immediate access to 9 Mile to serve the community. None of these considerations are noted in the Phase 3 traffic study. I don't think they were noted in the Phase 2 traffic study. Even though the bulk of the drive-throughs and the problems that you're going to have with queuing will be in Phase 3. That's where most of the traffic backups will occur. Crash statistics. Actual statistics show that there are 28% are any type of injury accident, and this was about the same in 2021. This Horizon thing shows 68%. I'll be back at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from January 21st, 2025?
I would move that we approve the regular meeting minutes from January 21st, 2025.
I'll second that.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to scheduled hearings. Our first scheduled hearing, 2025 Macomb County Community Development Block Grant CDBG funds. This is a hearing that is for anyone who wants to speak just on the CDBG funds we'll be discussing tonight. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard?
May I approach with some information on our organization?
Yes. If you can, just hand it at the end and we can pass it down.
Good evening. My name is Sheila McCann. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. With the number of older adults in Macomb County rapidly increasing, the need for support and services due to the frailties of age, chronic health issues, and disabilities, as well as lack of assistance due to the changing family structures, is growing dramatically and will continue to do so well into the future. For over 30 years, our organization have been providing free basic assistance to hundreds of frail, older, and physically challenged adults, helping them to remain safely in their homes with the help of hundreds of volunteers. This assistance has been helping older and disabled adults with transportation, chores, respite breaks, errands, and loneliness. These opportunities provide fulfilling experiences for those who wish to volunteer, as well as support to those in need. The CDBG Safe at Home project is a part of IVC's larger chore and repair program for older and disabled adults. This project was developed to provide additional chore and repair services in the communities that allocate funding for this purpose. Safe at Home allows us to assist low to moderate income seniors and physically challenged adults with indoor and outdoor chores, minor home repairs, and routine housekeeping. We identify individuals who cannot do these tasks on their own and have limited resources and prioritize those with the greatest need. We grow our program as well as coordinate the volunteers who do these services. IVC has provided almost 20,000 hours of help over all of its services to nearly 500 people in need each year. With the CDBG funding, we are able to complete 37 tasks in Eastpointe in just the first 6 months of the 24-25 funding year, and we project doubling these projects in the 25-26 funding year. We are confident that additional CDBG funding will allow us to assist many more residents of Eastpointe with this much-needed service. Some examples of how we help through this project are replacing locks, washing windows, raking leaves, routine housekeeping, minor home repairs, and installing smoke alarms. With the CDBG funding, this project can continue to grow and assist can be granted to a variety of lower-income Eastpointe senior citizens and disabled adults. Thank you to the council members for your consideration and to the mayor. Any dollar amount granted is greatly appreciated in our program. We hope to continue to partner with you going forward. If anyone tonight knows of any seniors or disabled adults that may need our services or assistance, or are looking to give the gift of time to volunteer, please let us know. You can call our office at 586-757-5551, or you can visit our website at www.ivcinfo.org, and I can take any questions.
Thank you. Does council want to, I know we're kind of at the hearing portion of it, but ask any questions at this time? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Tim Joy. I'm the grant manager for a company called Wave Project, and we provide homeless support services for folks that are unsheltered, living on the streets in Macomb County. We started 8 years ago with a mobile shower trailer that travels throughout Metro Detroit and parks at various locations so that folks that are living on the streets will be able to feel good about being clean and get proper hygiene. After about 2 years of that, we started an Essentials Van program, which is a van that accompanies the mobile shower that supplies critical clothing for these same individuals. And so what happens when we park our service vehicles, individuals gather, they get a new set of clothes, they take a shower, and they come out a whole brand new person. And along with that, we have a lot of volunteers that provide a lot of comfort and hugs and hope and direction to the individuals so that we can hopefully get them on a new path. We started a new program this year, which is why I'm here today, called the Macomb County Winter Shelter. It's a winter shelter, emergency shelter program that's located at Trinity Lutheran Church in Warren, near Stevens and Van Dyke. And we opened on December 29th, and we're running through March 22nd. And it's just for the winter months to provide a warm, safe place for individuals that have no place to go to get out of this harsh winter in Michigan. And since we've opened, we've had over 250 different individuals that we've serviced in just 5.5 weeks. We're averaging 75 to 80 individuals each and every night. And these are individuals from throughout Macomb County. And we've had many, many individuals that are formerly from Eastpointe that we're servicing. So we're here today really to ask for funds to help provide the security services that are necessary for this program, with 75 to 80 people there each and every night, and 12 volunteers from a host of churches, as well as our staff. It's really vital that we have security staff there to keep everything running smoothly. Just to put an exclamation point on the need for this service, In Macomb County, we have roughly 130 emergency shelter beds, and they're filled each and every day. There's not a day that it goes unfilled. I've been on the board of McCrest for over 16 years, and I can attest that our beds have been full that entire time that I've been there. And in the winter months, obviously, there's a lot more people that are seeking shelter and safety from the cold. And until this program opened this year, there really was no other place for them to go. So a group of 12 churches and Wave Project got together to form this program, and we really see ourselves as saving lives in this community. So we would love to have your support to help this program proceed into the future. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, anyone else want to speak on the CDBG? Go ahead.
May I hand these out?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Krista Carpenter, and I'm the Director of Hearts for Homes. Hearts for Homes is a nonprofit here in Macomb County helping homeless and low-income families with children with security deposit assistance, eviction assistance, and other necessities. Household products. Most of our families are coming in off of couch surfing, living in their cars, and they don't have anything. So we've also initiated starting to help with kitchenware and plates, and sometimes we get couches and beds, and so anything we can do to try and, help a family is what our goal is. The numbers for 2024 from the Macomb ISD is we are at 1,554 homeless school-age children. 1,554 in our county. Those are children who go to school. That's not including, their siblings at home that aren't school age. And that's just too much. Children should have a bed, a warm place to sleep. They should be able to go to school with a full belly and go to school not, having taken a shower. And so our goal is to try and help our families get into affordable housing. It's a strange number because in Macomb County, the average one-bedroom apartment costs $1,200 a month. The average two-bedroom is about $1,495. So when our families come in with federal assistance, Section 8 state assistance, they have to fit into a certain size of family and beds. So if you're on Section 8 and you have 4 children, you have to provide at least 2 bedrooms. If they're coming in and they're just working families, they tend to go towards a 1-bedroom and they pack all their children into one room and they sleep in the living room. So the point of it, our mission is to get people into a secure, safe environment to raise their children. So last year we helped 30 families that equated to 82 children. 7 of those families were in Eastpointe. Our 2024-25 CDBG funds, we're placing 2 more families probably this week, and then that will expire our funds for 24-25. So we appreciate your help. I'm from this city, so I love this city. So I love when I have clients that I can help in this city. So if there's any questions, please feel free.
All right. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Very much. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Jesselyn Gaskin. I'm a forensic interviewer as well as crisis counselor at Care House. Care House is the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center with our main office located in Mount Clemens and our satellite office located in Warren. Care House is the only agency in Macomb County who offers comprehensive services for child victims of sexual and physical abuse or children who have witnessed a violent act as well as their non-offending family members. Our goals are to minimize trauma for the child and for the child victim, and to provide coping skills, advocacy, and case management for the child and their family. We collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions in Macomb County, as well as their prosecutors, CPS, medical and mental health professionals, FBI, Homeland Security, and ICE. Care House serves as a beacon of hope for child victims of sexual and physical abuse, as well as children who have witnessed a violent act, provided them with a safe haven where their voices can be heard and their needs can be met. In our space, children share anything that may be troubling with them. And when a detective brings an alleged victim to Care House, they are making a whole array of vital services available for that child, teen, or vulnerable adult. They will not only receive forensically sound, fact-gathering, developmentally appropriate interview by a highly trained forensic interviewer, but their families will also receive information, support, and guidance through a profound crisis. Families are never charged for the services that we provide at Care House. We provide services to all referred children and their non-offending family members. These services typically include crisis counseling, trauma-focused therapy sessions, family advocacy, ongoing case management, and more. Care House also created a trust fund for child prevention information that educate those on sexual and physical abuse. I am proud to report that, according to our recent independent financial audit, 89 cents of every dollar that comes to Care House is specifically devoted to serving children and families in our community. Since our opening in 1996, we have conducted over 11,300 child forensic interviews, with 530 of those children residing in the city of Eastpointe. In 2023, we coordinated 651 forensic interviews, including 29 of those children from Eastpointe. Last year, in 2024, Care House coordinated 620 forensic interviewers, which included 39 children from Eastpointe. We also provide ongoing therapy and advocacy services for several more Eastpointe children and families each year. We depend on support from the community to provide a voice for children who are victims of physical or sexual abuse, and we need a place for them to be heard. We are very grateful for the great relationship that we have from the detectives from Eastpointe Police and your longstanding support. We respectfully request in your consideration for funding this upcoming year in the amount of $15,000 to support services for 25 qualifying children and victims and their families that reside in the city of Eastpointe. Of course, we will be grateful for any amount that you allocate us. Thank you for your time and your considerations. If you expect any child that has been neglected or abused, please give us a call or contact to your local CPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the hearing for the CDBG funds. We'll move on to, we have no unfinished business, reports from administration. We'll start with our city manager, Ms. Wall.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I'd also like to mimic County Commissioner's sentiments. Happy birthday to Councilmember Baker and Councilmember Curley. I'd also like to say thank you, Sarah, for your comments. I really appreciate it, and I'll forever be grateful for you entrusting an incredible community and team and allowing me the opportunity to serve this incredible community. So those members that appointed me, I'll always remember, and those are things that change kind of your trajectory in life and where you go and in your path. And so I really, really appreciate it, and I'm always grateful for you. So thank you for your comments. And Ms. Mary Hall Rayford, if you can share the message that you received in a contact, I'll be certain to follow up on those questions that you also had. Eastpointe State of the City is coming up March 5th, which includes our Mayor Kleinfeld, Judge Galen, as well as the Superintendent Gibson. Again, March 5th at 11:30. You can get tickets from the Eastpointe Roseville Chamber of Commerce. The Local Officers Compensation Commission is scheduled to meet next month, so that's scheduled for March 26th at 6 p.m. We have construction coming, so springtime in Michigan. Construction barrels were actually dropped off outside my window this morning, and which is exciting for us because incredible projects coming along Gratiot. So northbound Gratiot from Topher to 10 Mile is getting new water main, which is almost 100-year-old water main, which is an incredible investment that City Council has approved to take place. And southbound Gratiot from 9 to 10 Mile. So construction is coming. Please be aware of that. The solar light project is also moving forward. I've had a lot of requests on when those lights will be finished and installed, and we're hoping by the end of next week, if not sooner, those lights will be up and running. So those are kind of our updates in regards to the construction. And of course, we've had a lot of inquiries regarding the pink X's on trees along Gratiot. A part of those construction projects do call for some of the removal of trees up Gratiot. Right now, I believe just about every tree has an X on it. The DPW director is working diligently to ensure that the ones that are marked are in accordance with the actual construction plan. And per MDOT, any tree that is removed for construction has to be replanted. So we hate to cut down trees, but there is a requirement for the 24-inch main that is going in, and based on that investment in the construction that has to take place, it does require some removal, but they will be replanted. So I hope that addresses some of the questions that happened, and if council has any additional questions, I can certainly answer those.
Any questions?
Just about the trees, just to clarify, they've been overmarked, essentially. Some of the trees marked are not going to be taken. It'll be less than what's marked right now.
Correct. All of the trees that were marked are not what's actually on the engineer's plan for removal, and there's no requirement to remove them for the plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll move on to our finance director's report. Mr. Blum.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Councilman DeMonico had made a request to do an update on the federal funding pause, which went out. One thing that came up after the report went out was our sustainability intern is actually paid for with a grant, but it's through CDAM. It's not a city grant. They're not sure if it would have been affected. It seems to be a moot point at this point, but just wanted to bring that up. But all city grants would not have been affected by any of the changes in Washington. That's all I had.
Any other questions? We'll move on to our city attorney's report. Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. The council is in receipt of our monthly status report. There were two attachments there that I just wanted to bring to the public's attention. Two cases that the city was recently involved in. One was a business here in the city that was engaged in illegally selling contraband, controlled substances, and illegal vaping. When the city found out about that, the police department conducted a search of the business and confiscated contraband. The business license was revoked. They filed a challenge, and that lawsuit was dismissed in its entirety by the Macomb County Circuit Court. The other one was a challenge to the city's ordinance regulating the sale of fireworks from a temporary structure. That case went all the way up to actually the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals determined that the city's ordinance was constitutional and valid as well. So I just wanted to put that out there so the city is, or the residents are aware that the city does have regulations on selling fireworks, and now we'll be in that season before you know it, and there are regulations about selling fireworks from temporary structures. So that's all I had, Mayor. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, thank you. We'll move right along to new business, capital improvement plan. Should I just kick this over to you, Mr. Kern?
Yep, we can do that. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Annually, assist the city with updating the capital improvement plan for infrastructure projects. I've got that up on the screen here. I'll give a brief presentation on the updates that we've made since last year. I've got this separated into 4 different funds: the major street fund, the local street fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund. I'll start with the major street fund. We have our annual maintenance programs included as always in here. We have a joint sealing program. We did do a joint sealing program on the major streets within this current fiscal year here in the fall. We addressed most of the major streets with that, and we've got that in the plan to do every 3 years on the major streets. And then the years that we're not doing major streets, we would be doing local streets, so there would be a joint sealing program every year. We also have a pavement marking program that we have cost in there every other year to complete pavement markings on all the major streets. As far as major infrastructure projects, over the next 6 years that we have planned so far, we've got, what's not on here is 9 Mile Phase 2, because that's in the current fiscal year, but that project will be starting here next month with construction from Gratiot to Tuscany, and then the last phase from Tuscany to I-94 will be taking place in 2026. And the city did get a federal earmark to cover a portion of the cost of that project. The city's been fortunate enough to get federal aid assistance on several of the major road improvement projects over the last several years in the city, and we continue to get federal aid money on future projects. In 2026, the city's getting 81.85% assistance on the construction cost, which is roughly $540,000 to do concrete patching along Hayes from Stevens to 10 Mile. And we've also gotten an earmark through the state of $3 million for the reconstruction of 10 Mile to Hayes to Phlox. And then recently, the new transportation improvement plan that came out, we've been working with Macomb County Federal Aid Committee on that. We applied for projects for fiscal years 27, 28, and 29. And for fiscal year 2028, the city, with the city of Roseville and the county, we're doing a resurfacing and heavy rehab of 10 Mile from Phlox to Kelly. Again, that would have 81.85% of the construction cost with federal aid assistance, and then the 18.15% match would be split. 50% of that match by the county, 37.5% by Eastpointe, and the remaining by Roseville, with it being partially a border road with Roseville. On the local streets, since I believe 2018, the city's been doing an annual concrete patch repair program on those streets that were rated fair during our, we rate the streets every 3 years using the PASER evaluation system, rating streets 1 through 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being a new street. Those streets that are rated a 4 through 6, we look at those streets and do concrete patching so that we can extend the useful life of the street before it goes down to a 3 or less, and it requires a reconstruct, which could be up to 3 times as much of the cost of just doing a rehabilitation. So we try to catch those streets when we can. We've budgeted $700,000 each year to do that. Since 2018 up and through this last year, we have now completed all fair rated streets south of 9 Mile. We've started into the streets north of 9 Mile. Last year, we completed the streets west of Gratiot between 9 Mile and Stevens. We were able to complete a couple streets east of Gratiot here this fall, and we'll continue between 9 Mile and Stevens, working towards the east, and then we'll eventually jump up between Stevens and 10 Mile. The intent was to do, we had divided the city into 13 different districts with the intent that it would take 13 years to get through this program. We're now in area 9, so we're definitely ahead of the game on that one. Again, a joint sealing program would take place every 2 out of the 3 years with the joint, or with the local street program. The city has applied for CDBG money every year for road reconstruction projects, which we have tonight on the agenda for 2 streets in 2026. The reconstruction of Lexington from 9 Mile to Semra, and concrete patching on Phlox from Haas to 10 Mile is what's being applied for the fiscal year 2026. And we've planned out the next few years as far as CDBG projects that we would want to apply for, and we have those costs in the capital improvement plan now. And then we've also put some placeholders in there every other year for a street improvement project. We do have the reconstruction of Ash Street taking place this year from Kelly to Beaconsfield. For the water fund, we have an annual payment for the Phase 1 DWRF water main replacement project, which was southbound Gratiot from 8 to 9 miles, as well as a couple residential streets that was completed. That was a 20-year payback on the loan at roughly 2% interest. That's included here in the plan. We also have the Phase 2 payment included in here as well, which is the current DWRF project. We've completed Brittany Street from 9 Mile to Stevens this far, mostly completed, and we still have restoration work that'll take place here shortly on Brittany. We're about to start on the Gratiot water mains, and there's also 4 other residential streets that'll be included in that project. It's roughly a $15 million project that the city was able to get about $8.6 million in grant funding for. There's a roughly $1 million loan with some principal forgiveness on that, and then the rest of the project will be coming out of city water fund. In anticipation of the third phase of the 9 Mile reconstruction project, we have the replacement of the water main from Tuscany to Kelly that'll take place this winter. We also have the $10 million earmark, state earmark that the city received for lead water service replacements, which we anticipate to complete later this year. Out of the roughly 2,300 lead water services that we have in the city, we have replaced over 2,000 of those services to date. And then we also have placeholders in here for future water main replacement projects going into the year 2030. And then on the sewer side, we have recently completed the citywide sewer cleaning and televising program, and we've been able to identify all those areas where there's structural defects within the sewer system, and we've rated those 1 through 5, 5 being the most critical, and we've looked at those that were rated 4s and 5s and started to plan out a rehabilitation program to address those, either with sectional open cut repairs or with a sewer lining program. And we've put $750,000 each year into the budget to address those defects. And then looking at starting the cleaning and televising program again in the 29 years, it's recommended every 5 to 10 years to clean and televise the sewers and get a better understanding of the condition of the system. We've also put $250,000 into catch basin repairs every year as well. We started that program here this year, and we got about $75,000 worth of work done so far in this fiscal year, and we'll continue that into the spring as well. And if you have any questions on this, I'd be happy to entertain it.
I just had one quick question. What year do we start the televised,
2021.
Okay.
It took roughly 3 years to get through the city.
Okay. Any questions from council? All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item B, approval of the allocation of the 2025 Macomb County Community Development Block Grant funds for public service funds and selection of 2 projects for the brick and mortar program. Did you want to speak, or should I just open it up for council? Does anyone on council want to open up with comments on this?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, some very wonderful groups out there, nonprofits helping to do some fantastic work in the city and the county and the whole Metro Detroit area, frankly. Thank you all. I've got my spreadsheet up if we, as usual, to do the math for the money we can provide to these great groups. And then I guess just a quick comment on the bricks and mortar. I like both. And I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, with the bricks and mortar, I think we just have to give priority to one, correct? Frankly, I'm fine with either. Does administration, are you recommending one over the other, or just?
I'd recommend Lexington as a priority.
All right, and with regards to allocating the other funds, I think in years past, we've allocated to, well, I think last year we allocated to everyone who applied. And I'm happy to do that again. I know that we have a couple of new ones on here. Does council have any, I guess, input on priorities or what they'd prefer to see?
No, except that, why don't we have the city manager read the ones that are going to get money and how much they're going to get?
Well, I think we have to have a discussion on how much we're allocating to each. Mr. Delonico, do you remember how we did it last year? I know that you always have your spreadsheet, so.
We've done it slightly differently maybe each year. I know we've given preference to those organizations that have come out. We've given a slight a little bit more of their request. Sometimes we've picked just a percentage that equals that amount, because this year it's about 44,000, which is 20,000 more than we have to give out. So unfortunately, we can't give 100% to everybody. We've got to remove 20,000 if we're going to use the full 23,600. I think that's mostly how I don't recall specifically last year exactly how we went about it, but that's a couple of the things we've considered in the past.
All right, well, I'm happy with, I mean, however council feels, doing a straight cost percentage for each one of basically cutting the percentage down by the amount that we can afford. Or giving a little bit of priority to a couple of the organizations that took the time to come and speak with us tonight. I kind of like doing that. I don't know how your spreadsheet is set up, but I'd probably maybe prefer to maybe give them an extra 1,000 or something like that.
I think I haven't set up well enough to do that.
Okay. How does council feel?
Let me hear it first, and I'll tell you if I feel about it.
Let's see. Well, so I guess I should have done this initial. Let's see, what's 20,000 over? So we can give out.
Should we ask Randy to do it at the
40
same time and it can be erased?
Yeah.
Go to my office.
I think we can do 46% of the total. No, wait, let's see, 54%. There's 23,000, yeah. So we can basically fund 54 if we did it straight across. If we give preference, then of course, if we did 1,000, I can plug that in and figure out what the percent would be then. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do others agree with, I suppose, that amount? Looking at what the numbers are?
Sounds good.
All right. Would you be able to plug that in? Thank you.
1,000 extra for Care House, 1,000 extra for Hearts for Homes, 1,000 for Interfaith, and 1,000 for Wave Project. Let's see, so then, let's see. Probably have to. Let's see. I don't know if Randy's trying to help with math over there. Let's see. Can I hire him right now? No. On the spot here. Let's see, get closer here. I think if we do about, I guess I gotta go a little lower. Okay, so it'll be about, and I can figure out the exact here in a second, but it looks like if we do about 45% of everybody's request, and then 1,000 additional to the 4 organizations that showed up, I'm $170 over. So I guess we can just figure that out or do math here on.
What was the percentage? You said 54%?
45%.
45%. Oh. Do you just want to read off the approximate amounts?
Sure, it'd be 5320 for Care House, 3250.
Wait a minute, don't go.
Okay, sorry.
Your house is how much?
5320. 3250 Hearts for Homes. 2550 and 25 cents for IVC. 2425 and 50 cents for McRest. 2,700 for single family living. 3825 for Turning Point, and then 3,700 for Wave Project. It does put us $170.75 over, so we'll have to slightly adjust that.
So it'll be essentially between 44 and 45%.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be fine too. Well, I guess I should ask administration, would it be okay to say allocate between 44 and 45% plus the additional 1,000, or do we need to have the exact figures for a motion?
You'll need exact
Okay.
numbers.
So, Mayor, just make a comment before we take a vote. Our church in Royal Oak, Genesis, the church, have a program, in fact, it just ended Sunday for 14 days of housing the homeless. And we do use the mobile showers. I think it's called Wave.
Wave Project.
Wave Project. In fact, I have a T-shirt at home. I should have worn it. Where our guests are able to take a shower. And there's 2 showers in there. We give each guest 10 minutes, and we have clothes for them. But it's a great program. It's a great program with that. Wintertime or summertime, that thing is still there to give people showers. So that's what God wants us to do. So we can't argue with that, can we? We don't want to argue with it. Okay. Just look up there. Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I just wanted to comment on that.
No, thank you. Might this take us a few minutes to figure out?
Well, I guess it doesn't, 170.75 doesn't divide exactly, so I know when we've gotten that close, we've just like either, unfortunately, I should have went under, and that would have made more sense. If I change it to 44, and then we can just add a little bit to one of them, or what do you want me to do?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. If we go a little bit over, I'm sure the city managers could find some secret funds that she could take it out of.
Or you could write a $170 check to one of them.
I'll write the check, heck yes. I wouldn't mind at all.
Let's see, if we do 44%, we've got 268.60 left. So I could just add that to one of them. If no one has any suggestions, I know they're not here today, but they are usually here and been here year after year and do a lot of good work. Turning Point, could add that.
I'd be happy with that.
And then that, according to my spreadsheet, this is where Randy needs to double check my spreadsheet math. Let's see, yeah, the sum of G4 to G10 should be right. All right, everyone ready for the real amounts that equal 23,600 then?
Yes.
5224 for Care House, 3,200 for Hearts for Homes, 25.15 for IVC, 23.71 for McRest, 26.40 for single family living, 4,008.60 for Turning Point, and then 36.40 for the Wave Project.
I'm sorry, what was Turning Point again?
You did the math. Turning Point is 4,008.60. Mike asked about the Turning Point number. 4,008.60. That's for Wave. I have them in alphabetical order. I think on one list they might have been reversed in the packet. Okay.
That's why I asked it.
Oh,
As I was
okay.
writing it was in the wrong order.
Sorry about that.
Per
Yeah, I think-
Councilman Baker's cell phone, that's correct.
Okay. I was trying to do so.
Okay, those are the figures. You got them.
All right, repeat them. No.
No, don't. It's-
If anyone wants to make a motion to approve those figures that were just presented?
So moved.
Support.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. And then I think we need also a motion to authorize administration to prepare and submit applications for reconstruction of Lexington to 9 Mile, or from 9 Mile to Summerall, and reconstruction of blocks from Haas to 10 Mile. with that priority.
So moved again.
You say 9 Mile on Lexington, 9 Mile to Cimarron,
Yes.
That is correct, yes.
and there's a Cimarron on Lexington.
What's that? Yeah, it's 2 blocks from 9 Mile to Norton and Norton to Summerall.
Okay.
Yep.
All right,
I'll second that.
any questions?
No, but yeah, go ahead, then I want to make a statement.
Okay, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Councilman Curley?
Thank you. We had the representatives of different incredible, beautiful organizations come up here tonight. We did it too. We had 2 weeks. Genesis, the church, and I just want to give you an idea how many volunteers there are that take care of our guests. We had 85 volunteers because we have them there all night long and feeding them and making sure that we had nurses there to take care of them. But I just want to let everybody realize that it's a great endeavor. There's a lot of wonderful people who volunteer for that, taking their time out at nighttime. My wife and I have been doing it for 25 years. That used to be the First Baptist Church of Royal Oak. Then we merged with Genesis and changed the name to Genesis. But it's a beautiful project. And although I did it 25, and as the county commissioner said, I'll be having a birthday Thursday. I'm still going to, my goal is to work until I'm 100. Then I'll retire. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to approve award of contract for Ash Avenue reconstruction. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion we award the contract for the reconstruction of Ash Avenue to Mark Anthony Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $1,046,335.40, and further authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Item D, approve award of contracts for the community garden and basketball court parking lots.
I do have a question about this. The parking lot at Memorial, so my understanding is the community garden, that's supposed to be the permeable pavement. And then in Memorial, what are we looking, is that just blacktop, or what are we looking to do at Memorial?
Mr. Kern?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
For the community garden parking, for both parking lots, we had 3 alternatives for both parking lots: asphalt pavement, concrete pavement, and permeable pavers. We received 7 contractors submitted bids. Not all of the contractors bid on all 3 alternatives, depending upon what their expertise is in. For the community garden parking lot, the concrete pavement came in roughly $2,000 more than the asphalt pavement. Our recommendation, between those two, our recommendation would be to go forward with concrete pavement, as it lasts a lot longer, you get better bang for your buck. We also had the option of the permeable pavers, which came in at $182,000. We did have 2 contractors that bid on the permeable pavers. I'll leave that up to council's decision on how they want to go, but the permeable pavement is an option that could be selected. For the basketball court, there was a difference of $12,000 between the concrete and asphalt pavement. Again, we would recommend the concrete, with that only being a $12,000 difference. Again, you're going to have a longer design life with concrete pavement. The permeable pavement, we did have that alternative at the basketball court as well, but that came in at over $400,000, and was quite a bit higher than what we anticipated. So our recommendation is to move forward with both parking lots as concrete parking lots. But there is the option at the community garden for permeable pavement if you so choose to. The other option I want to bring up though too, and I know it's mentioned in the cover sheet too, is with the basketball court parking lot. Again, those costs came in higher than we anticipated. At one point, there was discussion of installing a second basketball court there with a smaller parking lot. There is also that option that we could put that project back out to bid again and look at putting a second basketball court at that location with a parking lot that would be half the size of what we proposed under this project.
Mayor, I'm trying to remember who made the decision to where the second basketball court was going to be put.
I think what you were saying is just an option rather than redoing the parking lot.
Correct. Yes, it is an option. There is room. I know when we had constructed that first basketball court there, we made sure that that was constructed as it is so that there is room to put a second court there in the future if the city chooses to do so. But I know there's been discussion of putting a basketball court at another location in the city instead as well.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
If we put the second court in and then a smaller parking lot, would that save us money going that route?
It would. The basketball court was roughly about $110,000, the first basketball court that we installed, and then you're looking at half the size of the parking lots. You're looking at about roughly maybe 100,000, maybe a little bit less, on a smaller parking lot.
I mean, I think that would be a good option for the basketball court to save us save us a few dollars there. I think as far as can you tell me what the price of the permeable pavement was versus concrete?
At the community garden, the permeable pavement was about $182,000 versus $105,000 for the concrete. At the basketball court, it was $401,000 versus $225,000.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but my thought was, if it would save us money to put in a second court and then just a smaller lot, I believe that's the better way of going in that regard. As far as the permeable pavement, $80,000 is a lot. I would be more in favor of just putting concrete, just to save the $80,000 and then trying to spend that money, elsewhere, in the community. I think that would be a good use of the resources there. They'd still have a parking lot there. It's concrete, it'd still be durable. And then, I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I think that's just a better use of the money for those two locations, those two projects.
Mr. Mayor? The reason Shamrock Park was decided on, because the conversation at their meeting was something like this. We have one on the west side of our city. Kids have to ride their bikes or walk if they live way over near the expressway. By putting the second basketball court on Shamrock, we're taking care of the kids on that side of town. So they don't have to walk, they don't have the danger of walking, they don't have to ride their bicycles. And I just think that spread the two courts out, in my opinion, would be better.
Mr. Mayor? Councilman Curley, what about both? We do a second one at Spindler and still do the Shamrock one.
So you're saying that 3 out there?
Yeah, I think that's still not a lot for the demand for basketball, in my opinion. We've got how many tennis courts, right? And, I mean, there is demand for tennis. I'm not saying a lot of people don't play tennis. I've learned that recently. A ton of people play at the courts near the memorial, near the military museum. But I think we could still do 3. I think Councilman Baker, like you're saying, I think the second court next to it, as we left the room on purpose, and I think probably a very small parking lot or something like that. And then I was wondering, as you were mentioning that just now, I'm looking on Google Maps, I wonder if we can we somehow open up just like the fence, because right now, I think there's no way to walk from the normal parking lot really without going way around the dog park. If you were, otherwise you can just park there and the court's not really that far away. So why build too much parking over there when we have a huge parking lot just right over here? Even if not, you can just walk around the, dog park. That's still not a far walk. So either way, I guess, I think that makes sense to me. And then I think most bang for our buck, we're not just building a giant parking lot, not too far from another giant parking.
To answer your question, if it's for the kids, and we don't do enough for the kids of this city, that's for sure. If it's for the kids, as long as the one is going to be built at Shamrock Park, I would not have a problem building the third one next to the one that we have right now. But you're right. Right now, you go over to the one that we have now, you'll find 25, 30 kids there waiting to play. And when you have, it's really amazing. And the kids are perfect, let me tell you. So if you got that little thing in your mind about, oh, they swear and scream, get that out of your mind. Because I've been over there a lot of times watching.
That's Harvey up there.
That's right.
Just kidding.
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're picking on an 88-year-old guy. When I start talking, you can't. Anyway, they'll be sitting there and they'll have 10 guys on the court, and when they get down to one end, 2 or 3 guys will run out there and throw the ball up a couple times, and then they're coming back this way. They run off the court and sit down again. So 3 courts would not be out of, and I'm sure the city manager can find the money. Well, we always can cancel all of our magazine subscriptions. That's probably about $10,000.
Well, I guess that was my question.
They don't read them anyway.
The idea of doing 3 courts, is that doable? And then maybe making some adjustments elsewhere with however we do this parking. I don't know.
Are you talking 3 courts at one spot? Or
No.
I thought that we were doing a second court at Memorial and a third one somewhere else.
Yeah, the third
No,
one
the
was at
second one at Shamrock Park, the third one at Memorial.
Well, okay.
Either way.
Either way,
Yeah.
the money, whether it's a parking lot or a second court in a parking lot, we've got 80,000 budgeted, so we need a budget amendment for that. But we're gonna need one for the garden parking lot anyways. We have enough money to pay for those.
Yeah, so I think second court and parking lot, we should go back and get designs for that. I think everyone agrees that makes more sense.
Well, I can make the recommended motion in our packet then here on that.
Oh, sure.
Motion to direct administration to bid for pricing on adding a second basketball court and smaller parking lot to Memorial Park.
No, wait a minute. You said add a second. Say that again.
Add a second basketball court at Memorial Park.
At Memorial Park, okay.
And
yeah,
a smaller parking lot.
Remember,
We
you
can put a few
don't
spots
need
in.
a parking lot for the court that's going to be on Shamrock, because you have Lexington and the other street there where
Right,
people can park on the street.
yeah. No, just all that for just Memorial.
I'm going to support that.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes?
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
All right, and so we still have to address the community garden. How does council feel? I know, Councilman Baker, you've already said what you think. How does the rest of the council feel on this?
I think we could go the environmental route, permeable pavement. I think that makes sense, especially being the urban seed, and can be the second lot we have like that, in addition to the Macomb County Public Works project over on Beaconsfield. Saves on sewage costs, it's gonna be indirectly and not, easy to measure, but there will for sure be less water going into the sewer system doing that.
Does the permeable pavement, doesn't that potentially have the risk of grass and weeds growing up through the, I guess, the porous-looking design or whatever. The permeable design, whatever.
Well, I think it has to be maintained for sure. I guess I was a little bit on the fence on this one. I like the environmental design. I wonder if, if we might be able to achieve some of the same goal by just having the parking lot next, like a rain garden on the side that's not in the street or something like that. The difference in price is a lot, so I knew it was gonna be more expensive. I don't know if I knew how different the bids would be when they came in. So, I know how you two feel, that's why I wanted to know how the rest of the council felt on it.
I didn't realize that it was gonna be that much more expensive.
Because I look at it and I think, what is it, about 80,000?
Yeah, 77. Okay.
You could build a big wayward sign or sort of a welcoming sign for the community garden that makes it really stand out on 9 Mile. Not that I'm suggesting that because we're letting someone lease it, so I'm not. But it's something, there's other alternatives that I think that I would want to consider for that amount. So, all right, I guess would like to go with the cheap alternative if anyone would like to make a motion, or if anyone would like to comment on it.
We voted on that first one. We just split it in two. Oh, I don't know.
No.
I didn't make not a formal motion.
Well, I'll go ahead and move that we, let's see, I want to make sure well, you guys can correct me if I missed something in there. Move that we award the contract for the installation of a concrete pavement parking lot or concrete parking lot for the community garden to Luigi Ferdinandi and Son Cement Company. What's that? Is this the right amount, the 115, or is there?
Yeah.
Okay, the $115,508.76.
Support.
Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
No.
Moving on to item E, approve award of contract for as-needed emergency water, sewer, and utility repairs.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to award 3-year contracts for as-needed emergency water, sewer, and utility repairs to the following 4 contractors: J.J. Mitch Incorporated, Fontana Construction, D'Angelo Brothers, and Superior Excavating Company, and further authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Are there any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. All right, item F, approve award of contract for cross-connection control program and data management services. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion to award the 2025 to 2027 contract for cross-connection control program and data management services to HydroCorp, 5700 Crooks Road, Suite 100, Troy, Michigan, 48098, in the amount of $72,864 for the 3-year period, and further authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Great. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
All right, item G, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 25-1246 to amend chapter 18, article 6, road and control. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I would move that we introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 25-1246 to amend chapter 18, article 6, road and control, and schedule a second reading and adoption for the regular city council meeting on February 18th, 2025.
Is there support?
Second.
Comments?
Sure, so I think we talked about two different changes last meeting. And those are not incorporated, so I didn't know if we wanted to consider incorporating. The one was, Mayor Kleinfeld mentioned, adding a word, in the first sentence of 18-155 on the willful failure of any owner and or occupant to comply with the reasonable directives.
Yeah, I see that in my,
Oh.
mine's
Packet,
not.
Not in the online.
Yours is in, oh.
Looking at this. Which page is that?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wait, it is. Okay. Then. Yes, okay. And then what about?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe I missed that, but then, D, we talked about D also then. This keep all vegetation, plants, bushes, trees, and other greenery reasonably trimmed to allow at least 12 inches. But I thought we talked about, because like plants and vegetation are gonna have 12 inches off the ground. What's the additional language?
The way that was worded, 12 inches, if you have a plant, all it has to do is, it just needs to be trimmed, it has to be trimmed so there's 12-inch space to prevent rodent harm. So the way it was presented at the last meeting was a little different, so I tinkered with the language and come up with that would prevent rats from, accumulating and using it as nesting areas underneath that vegetation. But certainly open to amending that further. But I think that was, based on the discussion at the last meeting, I think that was the intent of what the council was trying to achieve.
But doesn't this read, like it says to keep vegetation and plants to allow at least 12 inches of open area?
Yeah, I put in there reasonably trimmed to allow at least 12 inches of open air underneath. So in other ordinances that I looked at, that seemed to be the general guideline, 12 inches.
But so that won't apply to, we talked about like bushes that are right along the ground, or like, a lot of vegetation grows right on the ground. So it wouldn't apply to that then?
Well, I think you could put some language in there that would maybe, for the particular vegetation that you're referring to, perhaps add some language as an exception.
If I can, I think with the word reasonably being added in there, like it's not reasonable to trim a bush 12 inches at the bottom and then expect it to still look like a bush. So I think that, my understanding is that I think it's pretty clear. Anything that will be growing, like say certain types of trees or whatever, you would trim it at least 12 inches above the ground. I think that would be understood. You can't trim a flower 12 inches off the ground because it grows from the ground. So I think that would be, I think with the wording of
The
reasonably, I think that kind of covers it. And, we kind of understand it to be more so trees and things that would grow and then would be hanging over the ground where rodents could harbor.
If the council wanted to add a little bit additional guidance, perhaps adding the word generally in front of the word allow, so it would say, keep all vegetation, plants, bushes, trees, and other greenery reasonably trimmed to generally allow at least 12 inches of open area underneath and continually remove, same from fencing walls and other structures.
For me, as it's written, it's fine. I think it still says that, still gets the same message conveyed, so I would be fine with it.
I do think a little tinkering, I guess it makes sense to me, because we know what we're talking about. I mean, essentially it still says plants, bushes, trees reasonably trimmed to allow at least 12 inches. Because I read that and I think, what's a reasonable 12 inches? It is what it is. Maybe just adding to it, trimmed to, sorry, interrupting, or kept in a reasonably neat manner, or something like that. But, Cardi.
Sorry, I missed that first one. I completely missed. I apologize for that. This one I had written, I think I basically just, I had proposed something here in my notes, just, it says keep all vegetation plants, but basically I was just going to propose we just do keep all trees and other appropriate greenery reasonably trimmed, because then it just sounds weird that it's like, bushes or things like that.
I wouldn't
I know
be
we're-
opposed to that. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Okay,
I think that, I would agree with that.
so then just do, we're saying keep all trees and other appropriate greenery as opposed to the list we have there. Well, I was just saying, I think I had appropriate instead of other, because just it's like this conversation we're having, so someone can't get like somehow picked on for their bush, and things like that. I know we're getting into specifics, but I mean, we should have it as clear as possible.
That's clean language. That's clean.
Thought you were gonna say we're getting into the weeds.
Oh, man, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
It's right
Okay.
there.
I'd like to say something.
Yes.
I have it underlined here about the 12 inches, whether it's 8 inches or 12 inches or 32 inches. I think that's an incredible burden to put on a lot of residents that we have in our city. Mrs. Jones been in that house for 45 years. No lumber in her backyard. She doesn't have a dog. She doesn't have an outdoor cat. But we expect her to get out there with a pair of scissors or whatever and trim something and get a yardstick and measure 12 inches. And so the code enforcement officer doesn't say, I finally got Mrs. Jones. She's been here 50 years. Now she's going to get it. Can somebody explain to me or tell me that there are, in fact, rodents that will go under hedges, things like that? Not the audience.
Oh, I mean, does anyone want comments to that? I believe they do. You have just like space between a garage or a fence that's just completely overgrown or something like that. But I think Councilman DeMonico's.
I guess it'd be more like if you're growing a few plants in your backyard, but those aren't what's causing the rats. It'd be, other things that we're specifying here, like a tree growing all the way to the ground or things like that, or something else that's overgrown. Just that you'd be addressing that instead of,
Wow.
I'm not an expert.
I looked at this at the kitchen table, and here's what I thought. What about the city and the school district? Has there never, ever been a rat seen on the school district or the city? Does the city or the school district have hedges? Do they have plants? Do they have something that's not 12 inches high? But we're not going to deal with them, I guess. So this is the first reading. I can always come back and vote yes, but tonight I'm not going to vote yes.
Well, Councilman Curley,
What?
he did
What?
try to clarify that. That's what he's asking Mr. Albright to change in the language to be a little more specific, so it's not bushes per se, but more so the trees that would grow hanging over. I may call this tree wrong, I apologize, but like some of your cherry blossom trees that grow down and hang, you have to keep those trimmed to a certain height. But like bushes and shrubs, you're not trimming 12 inches on the bottom of them. So that's what Councilman DeMonico was trying to get cleared up and add and change language so that there is no ambiguity as to whether or not you have to get down and snip the bushes, you know, especially like a guy my age trying to get down there and snip bushes 12 inches at the bottom. It's clearing that up.
43.
40, a little older than that, but I'll take it.
So is that what you're saying, that Mrs. Jones would not have to go out there and trim her hedges to 12 inches? Is that what you're saying? Then the
Right.
code enforcement officer couldn't eliminate that one section.
Yeah, if they had rats, and it's just a normal looking bush, I'd say correct, then that wouldn't be what we're looking to make well, that's probably not what's causing the rats.
So you kind of agree with me.
Yes, I think so.
You kind of agree with
Well,
me that 12 inch is kind of lame,
Is what?
aren't you?
Is what? Wait. Oh, it's too much, you're saying? Is it, or are we talking about? Maybe I'm.
I think with the language, and I'm just going to repeat it, what you were suggesting, Cardi, is item D should read, keep all trees and other appropriate greenery reasonably trimmed to allow at least 12 inches.
Blah, 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 blah. Yes.
Okay. Who made the motion on that? I'm sorry.
I did.
And who was the second?
I believe that was me, but I will if I didn't.
Okay. Do you want to allow the motion to stand with that?
I can amend it to
Incorporate that?
incorporate the
I still support.
Feels like, okay. Just quicker than calling for an amendment.
Yeah,
amendment.
absolutely.
So, any other comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
No.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. All right, item H, discussion on proposed adult use recreational marijuana ordinance. Did anyone on council want to open up with comments on this? Or Rich, did you want to just give a very brief?
I'd be happy to, Mayor. So last week, I did circulate to the council. It wasn't part of the agenda because the ordinance language has not been approved yet, but the proposed ordinance is what I believe the council has or is looking for. There have been several drafts, and I believe that this is the end result. This is the product of the last discussion that we had, and based on legal opinions, I believe that this is the ordinance that is ready for first reading at the next city council. Now, there is a number contained as far as the number of licenses issued. Again, I believe that's the number. Now, with regard to any of the other particular licenses, I think that number is 0. But again, this can be brought for a first reading at the next meeting. And if one of the council members wants to make any amendments or changes, you're certainly within your right to do that.
Personally, I think it's ready to put on the agenda and bring for meeting. I wouldn't want to have a discussion on it without that being part of the agenda packet.
I just wanted to make sure everyone that, rather than just seeing it all of a sudden for first reading, I wanted to just make sure everyone was on the same page. And then, certainly the council can have that debate at the next meeting as to, if there's anything that needs to be, but I want to have it in ordinance form for that discussion. So we can do that at the next meeting.
So tonight is not the first reading, it's just a discussion. Is that correct?
Yes, to see if there was anything else that the council was looking to have added to the proposal or deleted.
Yeah.
So at the next meeting, it'll actually be in ordinance form and ready for first reading.
So on this document, as you said, there's 4 licenses that we're talking about. The 3 licenses will go to each of the 3 license holders for medical marijuana. And then we have an open, if you will, maybe bad word, maybe, open license that people will bid on.
That's correct. There's going to be four retail licenses available with the medical marijuana license holders being considered for 3 of those overall retail.
Well, it wouldn't be considered because I think the council already voted that the 3 licenses with recreational have been awarded the license for adult marijuana. So there's really one open license that whoever our committee is will do the detail work.
In the off chance that maybe one of those 3 does not want to pursue a retail license, then yes, but I think all 3 of them do want that. So there's going to be 4 available, with 3 of those going to the medical marijuana license holders if they want it.
So there's 1 available.
1 extra available.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm just trying to get you to say there's 1 available, the other 3 are already taken, unless somebody doesn't want it.
That's correct.
Okay.
well, and we've, that's sort of been our discussion. We haven't voted on it yet. Rich is basically saying, are we ready to put it on the agenda? We would have our first meeting. So our first vote will be when we, move on passing that one.
I'm ready to put it on the second meeting here in February.
Okay, and it'll be part of the agenda, so members of the public will be able to see the proposed ordinance.
All right, so any other comments from council, or?
Sure, so then the one additional will be subject to the 3-person committee,
Yes.
and we don't think it should just do all 4 of them through the committee, I guess is what we're saying then. 3 convert, 1 through the committee. The committee's already getting together, though, we don't think we should just do all 4 through the committee, I guess is what we're saying. All right.
I'm not saying that, but I got you. Just for the record, I think it's a mistake going forward like that with the conversion ordinance, but that's not how the vote fell. So I think we're asking for more problems, so it is what it is.
I'm sorry, I think we did formally vote at a previous meeting, so I think I misspoke, but, yeah, do you need anything else from us direction-wise?
I have my direction, I'll put that for first reading at next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item I, review final construction plans for 9 Mile Phase 2. Mr. Kern, can I kick it over to you first?
I guess I'll start with if there were any specific questions that council was looking at, but I know I guess just briefly, we are looking at starting construction on this project next month. MDOT has awarded the contract to ML Chartier. This project will be completed roughly in August of this year. This is the 2nd phase of the project where it will be a 5-lane, placed in kind as a 5-lane road. But if you have any specific questions on the plans, I'll answer
Does
those.
anyone on council have some questions they want to address?
Sure, I thought what we could do, and I emailed Ms. Walton about this, is if we can pull up street view, and I think that'd be easiest for the audience to understand and city council. It's easier than looking at the, zooming in on the engineering plans.
The engineering plans get a little busy.
I thought if we can talk about some curb cuts, and, we've talked about parking, of course, last meeting. Any other significant changes? I don't know if we want to start on, let's see, where are you at? Go one end to the other. I don't know if you want to go Gratiot to Tuscany or.
So we can start at Gratiot here. I can kind of run through it if you want, as far as any changes. So starting at Gratiot, the median island will be replaced in kind at Gratiot. The refuge island at Virginia, I think that's Virginia Street, that refuge island will disappear. And we've had a lot of issues with that refuge island damage. So that, I was gonna say hazard there, I know with the police department as well. So that island is no longer gonna be there. There still will be a pedestrian crossing there, but that island will not be there.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
real quick? So we'll have the new building then, of course, just to the east there.
Correct.
Of course, we still see the building that's no longer there. We'll just have the one crossing. Are we going to do maybe a second crossing, or that'll just be the only one in this area?
Right, that's the only one that's proposed.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got the rapid flashing beacon there as well. That will remain there as well.
So I did also email in after we talked about the building. What about one less driveway for our new building?
Yes.
Had anyone discussed that further? 'Cause-
Yeah, we have discussed that. I know that's gonna change a little bit compared to what the bid plans were, since we've been working on the police court building since the project was bid out. But yes, the driveway configuration would change there to where there would be one less driveway approach now with the new police court building going in.
Okay, so we are going to do two instead of,
That's correct.
however many, there was
3 there
large
now.
openings.
Yeah, and they won't be as wide either.
Okay. Sounds good.
From there, there's not a whole lot of change. From there,
We go into, I thought right here, I think,
Yeah.
right? That's the, we're cutting that curb down, right? Because that curb's like,
there are certain driveways where either we're narrowing them down, or there's a few properties where there's duplicate driveways, or they have another access off the side street where we were eliminating one drive approach. I think there's 8 locations, if I recall, that are having a driveway approach eliminated. But then there's several others where the driveway approaches they're not gonna be as wide as they are now.
okay. Maybe you can go all the way to Street View too, if that's, instead of way up here.
You want me to go on a street view?
So then we can really see if the UPS truck wasn't there, you can really see the,
Yeah, that's an example.
Yeah, you can see the curb on both sides. It's larger than a UPS truck, by at least double. So yeah, we'll be cutting that.
Yeah, here, this will narrow down. It basically would just be as wide as where the bays, where the bay doors are at.
It'll make it a lot safer for sure.
Correct. Again, everything will still be it'll be 5 lanes, same width, 11-foot lanes.
Is that what they currently are?
Yes,
But you said 11 feet?
11-foot wide, yeah. Then you got a 1.5 curb on each side.
I thought somewhere on the plans, I thought I had 11 and a half on my,
The right lanes on the plans show 12.5, but that includes the 1.5 curb and gutter.
okay, so then, all 5 lanes are 11? Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can.
All right. In this,
Stop here.
Yep. So in this block here, there's been some parking concerns here as well, east of Rain Street. Currently, there's concrete between the sidewalk and the street that's 7 foot in width. And it's used for parallel parking. Per the ordinance, parallel parking has to be 9 feet in width at a minimum. MDOT will allow 8 foot. And then the sidewalk has to be a minimum of 7 feet in width if you're gonna have parallel parking abutting the sidewalk. And that sidewalk currently is at 7 feet. The sidewalk all the way across these properties is 7 foot in width. Now, there's some extra concrete behind that in front of the auto parts and in front of the next 2 buildings to the west as well, but that's on private property. The public sidewalk, the through public sidewalk itself is 7 foot in width. And then you have the 7 foot wide strip in between that's measured from the edge of the sidewalk to the back of curb. So it doesn't meet the current ordinance, nor does it meet MDOT's design requirements. So the proposal was to not have any concrete or parking within this section.
So so say that one, okay, so right now, the parallel parking spot you said is 7 feet.
Correct.
The portion of the sidewalk that is currently owned by the city is another 7 feet.
Correct.
You're saying.
Yes,
But
correct.
then there's further space that, you said 2 more feet?
It varies, it's roughly 2 feet, maybe a little bit wider in front of the Cicchini's property, but that would be on the private side. I know at the Cicchini's, the concrete goes right up to the building, right up to the stoop.
Well, and so we were saying, you're saying we need 2 more feet to be able to make a parallel spot?
To meet the city's ordinance, yes, you could, but you could supersede that with 1 foot with the MDOT requirements.
So could we not, well, because I know, so way before we got to this point, and I think we're already done maybe across all of 9 Mile, we've obtained the right-of-way where we didn't currently have it. How come we didn't try to get an extra foot or 2, or can we do that at this point? Because that's even easier than anything I was going to suggest, to be able to make, say we did own that 2 feet of space, we can fit, without changing anything else, the parallel parking in there then, if the businesses were amenable to that?
We have tried to obtain additional right-of-way on certain, on these properties here, but then if you go further east, where you've got Another World and Distinctive Chic, that sidewalk does narrow down to 5 feet at that point, and that sidewalk is up against the building, so you don't have the additional footage there. So you even have less room as you go further east.
Okay. Now, what about, I mean, I think there's other solutions to me too about reducing the lane widths. I've mentioned before and emailed about the middle lane. You know, at this point, I think if we're talking about curb cuts, there's a lot of them across the street, but a lot that I think are unnecessary because all the businesses have side street entrances. If we, you know, put a median there because it'd be too small for a left turn lane, and you know, we move the road. I mean, I think there's all kinds of solutions to me for the 2 feet to be able to preserve this parallel parking. Clearly the, you know, businesses, as they came out last meeting, would prefer this. And I think there's a lot of different options to do it.
I know we have talked about that median island. I know the only, with the median island, that will restrict left turn movement to Rain on the south and to next street Cushing to the north, as well as the properties to the north. There is a property, the middle property on the north side would only have access from 9 Mile. But we have talked about putting that median island in as an option. And that would have to run that through MDOT to get a change order approval to do that.
Or even on the easier one, I guess, when the frontage gets smaller, if we just at least did parallel parking as far as we could. And then maybe we'd lose, what, a spot instead of all of them. But I don't know where the smaller section you were talking about starts.
Could be.
Right there.
You see my cursor? Yeah, right here to the east.
So it preserves like all but 1, 2 spots maybe.
So if I'm understanding correctly, there's, you know, multiple ways to try to preserve it. Would it make sense, at least as far as you were saying, Councilman DeMonico, the simplest thing would be just trying to obtain right-of-way where there's enough room to make that expansion?
Yeah, seems the simplest.
Seems like we should try that, and then where that's not feasible, go into the other options to maintain the parking, like you had mentioned with the lane widths or.
Sure.
And as Mr. Kern mentioned, going with the minimum that MDOT has rather than our ordinance. What would that require us to actually go back and change them, or
To go with 8 foot instead of 9?
yeah. I guess that might be an administrative question.
I'd say that might be an administrative issue there, where the city would have to do a variance, I guess, on the ordinance.
But that would be beneficial to the businesses if we did something like that. Because
Oh, yeah.
you
I
can
think
see where certain businesses, if they lose that parallel parking or any of that parking in front of their business, like at Another World, I mean, that's all he's got there, you know?
Yeah, I think, a couple of these businesses have parking in the rear off at Cushing. The other option too, I know that was discussed, was could you shift the road over a couple feet to the north? But that, with the the high transmission utilities along there, then there's narrow green belt, we can't move those utility poles, or we can't shift the road any further north.
Well, so, yeah, in your opinion, though, we can, if we did obtain the further right-of-way, we can make this work like that, then the road doesn't have to change at all, right, I guess is what we're saying with that.
Yeah, I can look at that and see, it would probably only provide 2, maybe 3 parallel parking spaces by doing that, but we could definitely look at that.
Okay, well, I'd make a motion then that we adjust the current plans so that, parallel parking on the south side of 9 Mile between Rain and Cushing is preserved. And I guess just to mention the options we talked about was either one, obtaining the right-of-way, to changing, the roadway by like a median or some other thing, or 3, the ordinance change. I guess that'd be my motion.
Well, I got a question. Before we do that, I mean, do we have to even, before we make that, I'm sorry.
just 1 second. Is there a second?
I'll support that.
I just wanted to do that before. Go ahead.
My question is, before we do that, though, do we have to find out that that's, whether or not that's an option before, and maybe I'm asking it wrong, but is it even doable? Or do we have to change the plans first to see if it's doable?
I'd have to look at it, look at the plan to see that, make sure that it would be doable if we obtain additional right-of-way. I can report back to you.
And I guess to that point, I'd be comfortable with council giving that directive, and I mean, the truth is, if AEW has to come back and say, we were told no, or we can't do it, then, we can address it then.
Would you repeat the motion, so it was kind of choppy last time. What are we talking about?
Sure, I motion to adjust the current plans so that the parallel parking on the south side of 9 Mile between Rain and Cushing, which is the block we're talking about, is preserved.
Okay.
And then I said we could look at, to do this, I guess in this order of the options that we just discussed, was 1, obtaining that extra right-of-way space that we need, that 2 feet Mr. Kern was talking about. Or number 2, like a roadway change, like doing a median or making the lanes slightly, thinner. Or then 3, like an ordinance change where he was saying MDOT allows 8-foot parallel parking spots, but our local ordinance says they need to be 9.
So that's part of your motion that we could, I like that idea of going by the 8 feet instead of the 9 feet that we require.
Sure, and I guess if it's a mix of these 3, save that 1 foot with the ordinance change and then 1 foot of right-of-way is the best bet then. But one of these options, I guess, is what I would say we should go with this motion.
Can I just restate it? just to make sure everyone understands it correctly.
Go for it.
Adjust the current plans to preserve parallel parking on the south side of 9 Mile between Rain and Cushing, considering options that include obtaining right-of-way, roadway change, and ordinance change. Okay.
And again, I apologize. I just want to make sure I'm clear too. So we're just given direction to look to see which of these options is doable, if any of the options are doable.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
I
that
see it
the
as we're
understand-
telling them change the plans and then, yeah.
Then you'll come back to it.
Yeah, we can report back to you at the next meeting.
I'll vote yes for the motion, but I'll tell, I'm not that excited about a median in the middle of the 9 Mile Road.
Plenty of other options ahead of it.
Yeah, there are other options. Okay. I'm
Okay,
ready.
well, I was still trying to get a little more clarity, just in what I was asking. With that, is there a financial impact in changing these plans?
Yeah, there'd be a cost for the additional right-of-way. I don't know what that cost would be yet. That'd be minimal. As far as design change, it'd be pretty minimal.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadley?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. We removed item.
Wait, we can, we gotta finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess just continuing down here, there's two other areas where we had parking concerns. One was at East Detroit Bakery. The other one was on the north side down at the end of the project. So at East Detroit Bakery, there's currently parking within the right-of-way. It's angled parking. There's 11 spaces there now. Basically, what's there now, the drive aisle that's there between the parking and the street is not adequate. And for safety purposes, we were looking to separate the parking from the street. That would require at least at a minimum a 12-foot wide drive aisle. In order to make that work, we were looking at changing the angled parking to parallel parking, which would take this down to 5 parallel parking spaces. There's also a parking lot on the side of the bakery as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was one we wanted to discuss too because, well, I mean, they built that parking lot on the side is only recently there.
Right.
So that they had additional parking, because even the parking in front is not enough for all the businesses along this stretch. Yeah, so right now there's 11, I'd say, official spots.
Correct.
And so, yeah, we're going to lose then, 6 to, well, I guess 6,
Go
if
down
you're
to
saying
5, yes.
And so you were saying, so what's the math on this again? So you need 12?
12-foot drive aisle is the minimum. And then again, the parallel parking space would have to be either 8 or 9, and if you go with MDOT or the city's ordinance.
But to preserve angled spaces.
If you were to preserve angled parking, you would not have enough space. You basically would be backing out. It basically would be as it is now, or you'd be backing out almost into 9 Mile, which creates a safety concern.
If we had an additional, like, so what do we need? Like, if there was an additional 10 feet, that'd be enough room, or like, how much room do you need to,
Right.
say we had as much room as you needed
You'd need
to do
another
angled
10.
parking?
You would need another 10 feet, yes.
Looking at the picture, you said that if that one car there would have to back up all the way into 9 Mile Road. That appears to me that they would turn and go to their left and exit that way.
Yeah, there is a drive aisle there now. It's just, it's not per code.
It's not what?
It's not per the current code. It's not 12-foot wide. So there's the potential of the car partially coming into 9 Mile to back out. It's a narrow drive aisle.
Well, looks like it's a pretty big curb there. I don't see where cars would back up further there, right there, would back up and bounce over the curb to into 9 Mile to turn left. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
Depends on how far back they go when they're backing out. but
Well,
that's-
okay, let's say they don't back up that far.
I guess it depends too if there's a car to park next to them as well, depending on how many cars are parked there. There may not be enough room in order to maneuver making that left turn into or making the left into the drive aisle without partially going into 9 Mile or being over the curb.
So we're talking about if you eliminate some of the parking spaces, what are you going to put there? What would replace it then?
What?
Well, if you
It would be parallel parking instead of angled parking.
so you're not reducing the footage of there.
Correct. You'd have a 12-foot wide drive aisle and then at least 8 feet for the parallel parking. That would be up against the curb blocks that are there now.
Do angled parking spots need to be a certain angle?
Parallel parking would be, yeah, it's not angled.
No, but like the angled, if they're angled further, does that save us a few feet? Like not parallel, but somewhere between this.
It may be a foot. I'd have to look at the tables, but it really doesn't change it much depending on the angle.
It's time to go, I guess. So what is the total amount of space from like, I guess, are we talking so you're saying we need, well, I guess, yeah, explain how much space we have, and you were saying we need 12 plus 8 or 9 feet to do parallel. How many feet do we have right now?
If you did angled parking plus a drive aisle, that's 32 feet. Currently, I believe it's 28 feet from street to the sidewalk.
So really we need 4 feet then, not 10 feet.
Correct, at least 4, correct.
I feel like we can find that space also.
Mr. Kern, I had a question, and I meant to ask it when we were further back. When I said I wanted some more clarity, but I forgot to ask. The parallel parking that we had already talked about, I apologize for backing up, but one thought was that if you do the parallel, is there a hazard with people, like will there be enough room for them to get out of their cars without stepping out on the 9 Mile, swinging the door open on the 9 Mile?
That's why those minimum standards are set, so that you have that. I mean, there's still a risk if you're getting out of your car out on a 9 Mile, but those minimum widths factor that into account.
Okay, and so if we went with the MDOT, because they're a foot less than what the ordinance is.
Most ordinances are 8 feet that I see it with.
Okay, and it doesn't pose a huge safety risk that way, going within those 8 feet?
That's right.
Okay, thank you. I thank you, Council. I forgot, I'm old, man. I'm getting old, so you know how it goes.
So I guess for this, like, what options might you see for finding, and I guess just off the cuff, you're thinking an additional 4 feet. adjusting the roadway and maybe the turn lane there. That's the only thing I see. I don't really know where else you can get the space. Unless anyone is thinking differently, I just want to.
That's what I was thinking, because if you did like an island in the middle there, just, you know, a narrow island, that would allow the extra room that you need for those businesses. I really hate to see businesses that have been here for so many years. I mean, they've come to these meetings, they've led with us, you know, to please help them. And not be able to keep their parking is detrimental. I frequent this place all the time. And you know, everybody uses those parking lots, that parking lot in front there. I know they have the side lot, but that's kind of like spillover when they have, you know, I mean, I'm lazy. I go to that parking spot because it's right in front of the door.
And you've never run over the curb on the 9 Mile Road?
No, I've never gotten into an accident.
Okay.
Going to the bakery, no.
I mean, I know the only issue with that is,
I can back up onto a mile road without causing an accident, so.
So you can't turn left on one street, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
it's
can't
the
turn
left
left to
turns into-
Lambrick, would be the only,
or into
Because-
the bakery,
Yeah, that's where I was going.
narrow it.
yeah. Oh, yeah, because you have to come this way, maybe we, yeah.
But, there would still be an ability to, after that, turn left onto the street and access into the side lot, if you're coming from that direction.
Yeah, maybe left turn people park in the lot, right?
Right,
Turn
they
people
they
park
take
in
that
front.
side street.
Yeah, I'm just
go
trying to
down the
think
lot.
of how,
Say if you're coming from Schroeder,
yeah.
and you wanna make a left, you would just go past the building into the side parking lot.
And you can even access that from
Who are we
the
kidding? People are
side
gonna
street,
stop and just pull
so.
in there anyway.
I guess, one question, just thinking about that. I think an island right there, to me, that, I'm not quite as comfortable with that. Because I'm also thinking if you get multiple cars that wanna turn left, even onto the side street, now you have an island that prohibits that, so now do you have people stopping in 9 Mile, trying to turn to go to their respective homes? And that just seems like it could potentially pose more of a hazard, a safety hazard.
Well, maybe Ryan has a suggestion. I mean, he's the engineering firm. How can we help these businesses out?
Unfortunately, with the parking being in the right-of-way and, right-of-way you have to work with, we're still providing some parking with the parallel parking. We're trying to make a safe environment here, and it's really the only option. I mean, you can look at the median island, but like you say, there's some safety concerns with that too, with narrowing the road down and then restricting the turns as well. It's a tough call.
Is there a way to request, I'm not sure if we've had these discussions before, but if we can finagle it to get as close as possible, is there a way to request like a variance from MDOT or something like that to say, we have an old building, it was built this way, we're just between a rock and a hard place between figuring out how to comply with today's standards. I mean, I took a photo there recently because I go there and it's always busy. I was surprised though because it was completely full in front and the side lot was full. And I was like, wow, it's not like they have parking to spare. So is that something we can?
We can try that. We can reach out to MDOT and see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
To do what? Say that again.
To file for a variance and basically construct it with angled parking as best as we can, but it would not be to their design guidelines, but see if we can get a variance.
Without a variance, just hypothetical, we just leave it to hell alone and don't do anything.
Well,
They lose their parking, Harvey.
Huh?
That's part
They're
of,
gonna lose their parking.
Or do you mean leave it alone as
Well, they're
it
not
is
going to lose
now?
the parking if we vote no. We still have the final say, the three of us anyway, if that's a majority. But go ahead. I'm just spouting off.
I think I'm trying to agree with you. I think if we don't vote on something now, they lose their parking.
Well, we got to vote. It says final,
Yeah.
it says a final plan. So I'm assuming by that we'd have to vote.
Yeah.
As we still got a long way to go to the expressway.
Oh, we're not going all the way to the expressway today.
Well, put it in high gear.
I didn't mean I was waiting until midnight till we did it. No, this is the end, because then Tuscany's right.
yeah, the next street is the
There.
end. Yeah.
You could, we're not going to be voting on the other side of the street, but of course you could explain what's happening on the other side.
Yeah, on the opposite side of the street, on the north side of the street, there's on-street parking there as well. It's kind of a mix of angled and parallel parking, but we worked with the property owner here too and came into an agreement that there'll be 5 parallel parking spaces going in there. It's gonna be set back a little bit. There's quite a bit of room for parallel parking here, so the parallel parking could be set a little bit off the road, so there'll be a little bit of a buffer between the parallel parking and the street, but we're able to get 5 parallel parking spaces and 2 from the corner of Tuscany to their driveway approach, and then another 3 in front of the orange brick building. And then that's basically the limit of the construction for phase 2 is right there at Tuscany. But I can certainly reach out to MDOT and see what we can do about a potential variance.
How does Oak Park do their angled on-street parking? The angled spots are right on the street.
Typically, that would be done on a low speed. I'd have to look and see what the speed limit is. It's 35 through here. So usually it would be on a 25-mile-an-hour street or in a downtown area usually is where you would see that angled parking right off of the street. I don't think, from what I saw, I don't think it would be allowed on 9 Mile on a 5-lane highway.
We had about the space of one lane. We have a lot of options. Dare I mention that with Councilman Curley present?
Councilman Monaco, I don't know if you're considering I think we should certainly motion to direct that we change, we'll seek a variance and try to change plans accordingly. I guess I'm not sure what else I see at that intersection. Unless anyone else, any other ideas?
Actually, so the speed limit's 35 in Oak Park. Yeah. Ours is 35, right?
Yep.
How many lanes are there?
Well, ours is 3. 3 with, the bike lane's on the other side from the parking. It's 2-way bike lanes next to each other, but on the other side of the street.
All right. right, well, I guess at that point, I'll make motion to direct you guys to seek variance. Is there parking at that location?
Second that.
Any other questions from council? Please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Well,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I guess I was daydreaming. I didn't hear the motion.
Oh, motion directing us to seek a variance with MDOT, basically to try to keep it the same.
A variance, you're talking about the bakery.
Yes, for the,
And so that would be the state's decision, not ours. If they come back and say, no, you can't do what you want to do, we have to tear it up. Is that correct? Basically?
if we want the money.
Yeah, if you want
I
the
mean,
funding.
clean up my language, but basically that's it.
Yeah, if you want the funding, we got to make an improvement.
Okay. So the motion is to have you
Yeah,
beg.
see if we can get a variance from MDOT.
And I know with your personality, you're going to plead our case,
Yes, definitely.
of course.
You better read that.
Okay. All right. Did you get a second?
Yes.
All right.
All set?
Yep.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Reluctantly, no.
Councilmember Curley.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Bishadley.
Yes.
All right, ready to move on?
No,
Any other questions?
we should take a break.
Let's finish.
Yeah, don't we have like just two?
Yeah, we're real close. So we've removed item J, item K, approval of Mayor Kleinfeld's attendance for the 2025 MML Capital Conference.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we authorize Mayor Michael Kleinfeld to attend the MML Capital Conference in Lansing, Michigan.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Bishadley?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
And next we have item L. I'm seeking a motion from someone to reappoint Paul Colby to the Beautification Commission with a term to expire October 15, 2027, as well as appoint Stephen Wicker to Beautification with a term to expire October 15, 2026.
So moved.
All right. Did you hear the two? You can pick which ones.
Or we can have it, I don't care.
Support?
I'll support.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Bishadley.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
All right, payroll and bills. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $1,957,099.06.
Support.
Great. Any questions regarding that? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Bishadley?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right, second hearing of the public. The second hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. Thank you for working with the businesses that came here. You know, it is very important that they try and keep their parking and also keep the road 5 lanes like we want it. Going back to the traffic study that I was talking about, again, AEW, through earlier phases of this project, had some concerns about doing the road diet based on traffic backups with all the drive-throughs, the driveways, the intersections that we have. And Phase 3 actually has the most of these types of businesses, the drive-through businesses that would be causing backups for people trying to get in and out of drive-throughs. I mean, it's, sometimes the far right lane is backed up now with 5 lanes, and with 3 lanes, it would be impassable because there'd be no extra lane to go around it. The other issue I had was with the crash statistics that were in the most recent traffic study. I still haven't gotten clarification on it. The crash statistics, the actual statistics from 5 years that was used in this most recent study, and also the one back in 2021, showed that there were a total of 28% of any injury-type accidents, and that includes, possible injuries where there's nothing visible, there's no cut, bruise, abrasion, it's just, my shoulder hurts a little bit, it's not considered a serious injury accident. However, in the traffic study that we saw this past fall, they do this 20-year horizon where suddenly it's going from 28% of all injury accidents to 68% injury accidents in a 5-lane design and 64% injury accidents in a 3-lane design. I understand that it's a computer simulation that's supposed to estimate what could happen in the next 20 years, but those numbers are so far out of whack. What's really happening on that road, I, again, don't understand it, and I haven't gotten clarification from anybody that I've asked about it. I've even emailed MDOT about it, seeing if maybe a fresh pair of eyes could take a look at some of these statistics. Again, I think that we are getting a large amount of funding for 9 Mile. We're getting 81.5% of this road paved, and I really feel that the wisest course of action
about 30 seconds.
is to do it all 5 lanes. We can always go back and adjust. I drove down Van Dyke the other day from 8 Mile to Stevens, where they have, their road diet is where they striped the pavement and made bike lanes without removing the concrete. This would give us a lot more flexibility with all of the changes that are coming up. You're wanting new businesses to come into 9 Mile. You're wanting more families to move in. We are restructuring the school system. This would give us a lot more flexibility and I think be more beneficial to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to mayor and council reports. We'll start with Councilman Baker.
Thank you. Thank you to those that took the time to wish newly old man a happy birthday. I appreciate it. And I'll just leave it at that. I think that some things that we discussed tonight was tough and touchy, but ultimately, my position is that if we can do something to try to help the businesses, I want to do that. I also want to make sure that I'm trying to look at things from what's a safety aspect. And so that's what makes sometimes that decision a little tough for me. Definitely, you want your businesses to thrive. I'm a supporter definitely of the bakery. I've been going there for, probably over 20 years and still do. So I want you to thrive. I appreciate you expressing your concerns, but I want to tell you face to face what my conflict was. And that's, just looking at what the MDOT standard was and from a safety aspect, really trying to consider that. So that's where my hang up came in. That being said, to Mr. Clayton there, I have the word of the day for you. And it is, I want to make sure I say this right, transmogrify. And that is to change or alter greatly and often with grotesque or humorous effect. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Curley.
Thank you, sir, for that. I'll use that word tomorrow. Thank you, Mayor. Sometimes I get really angry when local government is not controlled by local government, it's controlled by your state government or your federal government. So particularly the one we have to get permission. I may be using the wrong words, Ryan, but Brian's going to talk to the state because we don't want the bakery disturbed. And, well, we got to get permission, or else they won't give us the money, but we'll see. Thursday's a big day for an old guy like me. You're not old. Will you stop saying that? I love you. What, 45? No, 44, 45. 88 for me. And I don't know, you know, way back when you were younger, people, when you turned 55, what would they say? Double nickel. Remember that? Well, I know you guys over here don't, you're too young. But I'm trying to figure out, how do I say I'm 88 without saying I'm 88? Well, you know, there's got to be something out there that I could say. But like I told you before, I'm going to live to be 100. So I've got 12 more years. I'm slowing down a lot, but, and I'm not walking too good either. But tonight, I'm proud of the council. I am proud of the council, each and every one of us. You know, we sit here, we discuss, we don't necessarily agree with each other. We may even shout sometimes, but all the elected officials up here, and I won't even talk about the city managers because I'll start crying. They ran because they love this city, and the decisions we make and the suggestions we have, we come to an agreement after it's all over. Okay, I didn't vote for that, but that's okay. So tomorrow I'm going to the bakery and get some apple fritters. They better have some in stock. So God bless everybody, and 9:26, it's half hour past my bedtime, but I think I'll stay up and 46. I think I'll stay up and have a big Diet Pepsi. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Pashadlik.
How about Crazy Eights?
Crazy eight.
Crazy Eights.
Oh, okay.
What do you
yeah.
think?
No, I don't like that.
It'll work, it'll work. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to you on Thursday. So today is yours. And I believe Sarah's was today, right? I think Sarah's was today. So happy birthday to our County Commissioner, Sarah Lucido. I'd like to welcome our Beautification Commission member, Steve Wicker. I had worked with him previously at the cleanup, the Earth Day, when we were doing the cleanup. A very nice young man. I'm very excited to have some new people on that commission and to help out. And as well as thank all those members who are currently on that commission because they do such a good job for us. I know Paul's been on that commission for a very long time. I see Craig Wodecki out in the audience. I know, you know, they've been on that commission for a very long time, and we really do appreciate the commission members that volunteer their time and do such good for our community. So I'd like to thank them all for their service. And that's all I have today.
All right, Councilman DeMonico.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, for the Beautification Commission, yeah, thank you, Paul, for, he's been on there longer than I've been the liaison. And thanks to the audience members who are also board members, and yeah, looking forward to the new member of the commission, Steve Wicker. Happy Black History Month, everybody. And happy belated birthday, Councilman Baker, and happy early birthday, Double Ocho.
Thank you.
Councilman Curley. And yeah, I think we had some good conversations today. I guess just the only point I want to make today is hopefully, as all of you are clearly paying attention to your local government, hopefully everyone's paying attention to your federal government and what's going on. I know it's a lot to maybe take in, but at least just try to make sure you know what's going on and make your voice heard when you need to. And I guess that's all. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, thank you. Happy birthday, Councilman Baker and Councilman Curley.
Thank you.
And to County Commissioner Lucido as well. I'm not going to add anything. With that,
So moved.
I'll second.
I'll second. Oh, okay.
All right, motion to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. Meeting adjourned at 9:29 PM.